No, thank you. For my Mozambican colleagues, I would almost speak Portuguese, but for the benefits of the audience, I will speak in English. I've been start working in Mozambique since 2002, and I'm still dealing with the country. I think the study is, the paper is very interesting. That's a lot of good recommendations. I think the Mozambican authorities that are present here, both the mayor but also at central government level, should take the finding of this study well into consideration. I'm having some comments. I'm trying to, I would like try to not repeat what was already said, but also trying to look more into the solutions. Maybe that's also what you've said. I think, first of all, that the time is very good because Mozambique is preparing a national urban forum next month for the first time. As UN Habitat, we have been trying to promote this for many years, and thanks to the funding from Cities Alliance, this will finally happen, and the support of GIZ here. And I think this is very important because actually the finding of this study can trigger the discussion, and we need to go soon into a diagnostic and formulate a proper national urban policy in Mozambique, which still doesn't exist. I will just refer to an anecdote. When I was based in the Ministry of Environment that was dealing with planning, still dealing with planning in Mozambique between 2002 and 2007, the National Director for Territorial Planning told us that there were $40,000 to do an urban strategy for Mozambique, while the year before there was $1 million to do the rural strategy. So I want to insist on the need for a political will, a very strong political will. There is a need for a vision for that, but it is complex, and I'm going to refer to this a little bit. First of all, it's important in the paper that it's noticed that the policy needs to be related with space and with regional planning. What I've noticed, not just in Mozambique, but in Africa, many countries that I've been working in 20 countries for the past 7 years, there is a vacuum in regional planning and the system of cities and the corridors. I think this is really very important. So at the macro scale, this is important. What there is a need also to understand is that the urban expansion is the predominant model right now. It is extremely dynamic, extremely changing, and as it's written in the paper, it's not sustainable in the long term, that's for sure. So when I have colleagues, even from UN Habitat, working in the Global Urban Observatory or the UNDESA statistics, telling us that the urban population will triple by 2050 in Africa, in absolute terms, I am not sure that with these kind of dynamics this will actually happen. Or if it happens, well, we have to face the consequences. So I think there is really an urgency also. I wanted to point it out. At the same time, I think there is need also to insist on the benefits of good urbanization. It is a solution as well for a proper occupation of space, for a proper utilization of land. So this is really very timely. I also want to quote what the colleague Muhammad Lutwama said yesterday on Act Together Uganda, that we need first to understand who we are. And I think I really like the statement because the study tries to look into self-governance, self-managed and self-organized processes in this expansion that is taking place. And until we don't recognize that reality, all theoretical model that we want to build will not actually have the impact we want them to have. So this means that we need to look into social cultural issues which cannot be ignored. I think the colleague Mark from Burkina Faso said it very well. Burkina Faso, when I see the type of development in secondary cities, they are organized partially as big villages, actually. So there is a need to understand how we can really engage in the debate on public and private space. I think This is extremely important. There is not yet an understanding in Africa, to my experience, of the benefits of having good public space. By public space, I talk about the infrastructure grid, the road development, the space to put the services, the space for the city to work and to be sustainable in long term, and to prevent the fact that if it doesn't develop properly, later on it will be much more expensive and almost impossible to revert that. So this is very, very critical. The perception at the household level is still that I need more private space. I need more space for my family, and it is cultural, it is understandable, but there is not yet an understanding of the benefit of good public space. I think this is really, really important. I think there is the issue of the different solution for different scales. There is the issue of governance. I think that's part of the solution as well. I've read also some papers from a member of the team. I'm supervising Anna Mazzolini, PhD, co-supervising actually, which is part of the team of IHS. There are some interesting cases of inverse planning in Mozambique coming on, which a community in an urban expansion area hires an architect and planner to do an urban plan and regularize their own land situation, in which the municipal authority is absent, or just as a spectator or so-called regulator. But I think there is need to really rethink the governance system at the level of the city, in which we can have, as the mayor of Nampula said yesterday, shared responsibilities, in the sense that we could think of a decentralized system even at the city level, in which the communities, because it's so self-governant, have some responsibility in managing their land. So for that to work, we need to promote an understanding at that level of what good urban planning means, good urban development means. That is fundamental. It's a multi-layer governance system that needs to be put in place, up to really a group of houses that could be part of the solution. I think this is really important. Also, I think one entry point, very important entry point, is the land management. Land is finite, is limited. It's not infinite, or it is encroaching into agriculture area. This was said very well. I think that's a very important entry point to build that understanding. I think the issue of flexibility of tools, this is also very important. It was said, the Western model, I mean, when I read the legislation in Mozambique or in other Portuguese-speaking country, I'm dealing with all Lusophone Africa, in Cape Verde, the legislation is very much comparable to the Portuguese legislation, but the context is completely different. The cultural values are different, the environment is different, the climate is different, the geography is different. So that's still in the building. I mean, we need proper regulations that fit really the context of Africa. We need to have flexible tools. The issue of flexible tools was very well mentioned in the paper. I think this is very important. You have to understand that in Mozambique right now, the planning legislation is very recent. It was approved only in 2007. It has not even 10 years. And already we need to do new planning tools, new regulations, because the situation is increasing so fast, it's going so fast, that the time for the government authority at the different level to absorb and understand how to apply these tools, the situation has already changed. So there is really a sense of urgency for that, and the flexibility, the communication, the participation that was mentioned also yesterday by the communities in the process, it's important. Yeah, I'm finishing. As UN Habitat and also with Cities Alliance funding, we applied a lot of participatory planning in Mozambique and other countries using high definition satellite images. If you give a tool to the community to understand their territory and for them to recognize that territory, you can actually have very good plans. So there are solutions for that. So, well, I had other issues, but I think I will finish by the issue of also the institutional setup. I think it was marginally mentioned in the paper, in Mozambique, at the central level, we have a situation in which we have 4 ministries dealing with urban. So that's the starting point, and it's not the only government in Africa. There are governments which still don't have the word urban in any ministry, which should make us think. Or, like in the case of Malawi, urban was added to the Ministry of Local Government, Land and Urban Development, and then the urban department was not there yet. But it was the decision, at least there was this political decision. So in Mozambique, there is a strong debate on that, on who will deal with the urban agenda. There is need to see that this is not the agenda of one ministry, this is the agenda of all the government. It's a cross-cutting agenda, and also the governance in terms of vertical relationship, from central to provincial or regional up to down. Those kind of relationships really need to be revisited, and I think this is an opportunity in the idea of doing the national urban policy. Thank you.